let's start with a sketch. All right, so I think around the edges of the paper, I just did a little bit of tape, like just around the piece of paper, so that later on I can like peel it off and I'll have like, clean edges. Let's get started with the ground. So it really doesn't have to be super exact, but here you go, you have the ground. And then now I'm gonna go ahead and sketch out the mountains. So the mountain kind of starts right here. And then it kind of ends right here, but it's covered by the trees. So you don't really have to worry about that. And make sure that your sketches is really light, because watercolor, you can't really build really thick colors on top of that. Here's like an edge of the mountains. I'm gonna draw the mountains behind it. And then, oh, let me know if I'm going too quick too, but yeah. I'm just gonna draw a rough outline of where the trees are. It doesn't have to be exact, again, because we're gonna build up many layers. And then right here, you guys can see that we have a really big tree. So,
so cute.
So you could just draw like a little box. That's our tree. Oh, I made it too small. Yeah, let's just draw a big box. It's like a little tree right here. And then some more trees over here. All right, so if you guys look at the photos, you can see that on the right side, there's gonna be a lot of sunlight. And so when we're painting, we kind of like have to remind ourselves that that side is gonna be lighter. So like the colors would be more warm, like yellow, more yellow hues. Give me 1 second. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with our light washes. So right here, I'm just taking like a really light blue, kind of like a darker blue, and kind of mix it with a lot of water. Because we want the background to be super light. And just go ahead and paint the sky. You can make the top of the sky a little bit darker too, because you can see kind of like a sky gradient on the top. Oh yeah, feel free to slow me down. For sure, I will try and slow down so that you guys can catch up. And we'll also be posting the recordings on our Facebook and YouTube after. All right, so this is like the wash for the sky. Feel free to make it a little bit darker too, but I'm just gonna leave it like this. I hope that everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's still in quarantine, practicing social distancing. Remember to wash your hands. I know it's a really tough time, and so I hope that this painting session and we'll be able to provide any resource we have at the zone. But yeah, feel free to like reach out. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and paint a light wash for the mountains. And the color that I'm gonna use is kind of like a purpley blue. Oh man, that's too dark. Okay, I want it super light. With watercolor, it's easier if you start out with lighter colors and then later on kind of build it up, because if you start with dark, it's really hard to build on like lighter colors. And for the wash, try to kind of like cover the entire pages if you can. All right, so right now I'm just mixing some colors for the bottom layer of the trees. So if you so the sky is for this, and then it comes, and then the mountain layers, and then the trees, and then the land. So I'm just painting in that order. Oh yeah, I can hold off. Sorry. All right, I'm just gonna repeat what I just said because apparently my audio cut out. I'm so sorry. But what I did was I'm painting everything from the furthest layer. So the furthest is the sky, and then it's the mountains, and then after the mountains would be the trees, and after the trees would be more layers of trees. But yeah, we're just kind of like building up the layers from the furthest. All right, I'm gonna start with a light wash for the trees. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Because we're gonna go over all the details later. And for this side, I wanted to do the colors a little bit more bright. So feel free to mix a darker green with yellow. That's how you achieve like a more bright green, but still fairly keep it pretty light because we're still building our base layer. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it for to be stressful. I'm gonna slow down. Alrighty, so let's get started on the ground. For the ground, I kind of want like an earthy color, like a very warm yellow, like an orangey color. So, oh man. So I'm just kind of like mixing up yellow and kind of like a darker, a warmer yellow, still keeping it fairly diluted. You can have like a darker area too, because the area on this side can be a little bit darker because the sun is on this side, right? All right, I'm just gonna wait and let everyone catch up, but all of our layers should be dry if we start it from the sky. So the sky and the mountains should be dry. Now I'm gonna just wash my brush so that it's clean and we can start on more detailed layers. Okay, so let's start mixing up some colors for the trees. So as I said before, you still want the trees to kind of like build up more layers. And so the trees should be a little bit darker than what we have right now, but not too dark. So what I like to do is just kind of like create kind of like a more shadowy color, starting with blue and mix it with some greens. And right now I'm just kind of like blocking in a little bit of shadow for the shape of the trees. And as you can see in the photos, we have a lot of like vertical, kind of like more thin trees. You can make vertical strokes. They can be overlapping because that builds up kind of like more layers of the trees. As you can see, like this one and this one's like more in front. We have a taller one. And even though it looks kind of messy right now, okay, it looks like kind of ugly, but don't worry, we're gonna make it pretty later. And here again, we wanna make this area a little bit brighter. So feel free to mix in a little bit of yellow. Little tree here. All right, I'm just gonna clean up the edges a little bit. And then in the corner, you can kind of see like a little bit of tree poking out. And I'm just gonna wash my brushes. Alrighty, so now I think I'm gonna tackle the mountains. I really want to start on the big tree, but when I was practicing, I realized that I should have started on the mountains. So I'm gonna use a smaller brush to kind of like shade in the little mountains. So for the let's start on this one because this one seems more further away. So what I like to do with the shadow, it's kind of like a purpley shade. I like this color, like a fuchsia blue, maybe a little bit of black. And since we're starting with kind of like darker colors, feel free to kind of dilute the colors, but not too much. Because right now we're trying to create some definition. And then on top, there's like a little bit of light coming through, as you guys can see on the photo. So kind of, I'm just like leaving this chunk of white. And don't worry, because you guys can see there's an outline for the bigger tree over here. So don't worry if you guys have like something like this. Because the big tree is gonna cover all our mistakes. It's gonna fix up the edges a little bit. All right, that's one of our mountains. Let's move on to the other one. I'm just using this green that we mixed from our colors earlier and kind of like layering it on top, kind of defining the areas where there are like a little bit of trees. And a tip for when you are drawing mountains, just kind of like, this is what I like to do. It's kind of like creating like a little bit of a white line that connects. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like shading this area right here so that it creates the illusion that this is kind of like poking up. Oh no, that's way too much red. And then I just realized I'm a very distracted painter. Like sometimes I'll be mixing colors for one particular part, and then I realize that I want to do another part. So I like mix color for another part. I'm so sorry, but yeah, you can just do whatever you want with the mountains. In the end, this is like for drawing. So feel free to do whatever you want. The mountains can be pink. Mountains can be whatever color. For brown, you can mix like red, yellow, and a little bit of green. Make this brown. Also gonna add a little bit of brown right here. All right, and also using that brown that we just mixed. I'm gonna create like a darker brown. We're gonna draw a vertical line to draw our really big tree at the front. All right, we have our tree trunk. So we're just gonna let it there, vibing, dry, and we're gonna go ahead and fill in for the details for the little trees. And since the trees are more in front, you can make it less diluted, so add less water. And what I like to do is just draw the top and the left side of the trees, so that later on you can draw the sunlight, which is the side that is lighter. We can add that in later, and that would create more dimensions. So just draw like half of a leaf. And then similar to before, I'm gonna make this side a little bit lighter. then for the ones that are outside, you can kind of see that the trees are kind of dry. So we can reflect that by painting a more orangey hue. So something like this. Alrighty. So I think that our tree trunk should be dry for now. So let's add in the leaves. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how I mix the colors. So I just take a really dark blue and then mix in a little bit of green with it. And you don't want to dilute this that much. And then we could kind of just like place little leaves on top. And then as you go up and to the right, you want to mix the color so that it's a little bit lighter. And right here, I want it to be super light. I'm just mixing really light yellow with green. Oh, and if you guys are looking for playlists to listen to when you're painting, feel free to go onto the Zone Spotify account. If anyone can link it onto the chat, that would be great. But each of our staff members have created our quarantine playlist, and I think it was really fun to listen to music when you paint. All right, and then, oh man, sorry. I almost knocked over my phone. And then at the bottom right here, I'm just gonna add some more shadow to the leaves to signify that it's darker. So after we fill in like the leaves, feel free to add more kind of like character to the leaves. I'm just gonna add some more yellow or orangey leaves on the top, like as highlights. Just like that. And then if you have leftover brown from earlier from the tree trunk, feel free to kind of like use that and start drawing in some branches. So what I like to do is just do really light lines just to signify that they're branches. It doesn't have to be super thick. All right, I filled in the branches. I'm gonna make some of the branches a little bit darker. I'm like mixing brown with a little bit of blue and putting that on kind of like the bottom. Oh, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat. Alrighty. So now that our layer of trees in the front have dried, we're gonna add in the sunlight, so the lighter colors. So I'm just gonna show you guys what colors I'm mixing. Like a really light green. I'm just really quickly kind of like going over the top of the trees because I realized that I wanted to kind of like have a middle color in the shadows of the trees, or the trees that are behind the other ones. So yeah, you could just kind of like blend it together, kind of like mixing a color that it's between the dark one and the light one. That would be kind of like the body of the tree. And when you blend it, you can kind of see that, oh, here's the sunlight hitting on top of the trees. I'm just going over what I painted and kind of like correcting the edges. And later we can kind of like correct our mistakes once again. And then if you've seen that photo, there's like several trees that are darker. I just forgot. I feel like this one should be way darker, right? If we add that one in. And this one should be also dark. And then as the area behind the trees, you can see that the trees kind of cover most of the trees behind it. So I want to make it dark. Right, as you see, the trees that we painted on our first layer, you can see that it creates a really cool like layer effect. And for this special tree, we give it a little bit of tree trunk. All right, and then still using our darker color, I'm realizing that we're running a little bit behind. All right, and then let's see what we should do. All right, let's add some more layers on this side. In order to mix brown, I usually mix like yellow, red, and then green to make like a light brown. But yeah. I realized I don't really like the brown on the mountains. I'm just gonna change it to like a purpley hue. Something more blue. All right, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to add even more kind of dimensions to our painting. Just take like a blue and then dilute it. And then kind of just paint like little trees in between. They can even build up more layers. Like I'm gonna add some right here. It's looking kind of bare right now. And I'm gonna go back and kind of fix the shadows of the trees. Because at the bottom, you shouldn't really see an area that's lighter. And then since it's watercolor, it's super easy to kind of blend the colors together, right? And then you can just blend it. Right now I'm mixing a light orange to kind of continue our section on this side. And right now you can mix a really light yellow. So let me just clean this white a little bit. And also clean this yellow so that we get rid of all the green. So right now I'm just gonna make a really light yellow. Maybe a little bit warmer. And remember not to dilute this. And what you kind of want to do is place some dots of yellow on top. It's not kind of dark, but kind of place that on top to kind of reflect the sunlight. And then what you're gonna do is wash your brush and kind of dry it, and then blend it. All right, we're gonna start wrapping up in a few minutes. So the final thing that I wanna do is to add shadows to the trees. So this tree right here, right? Let's see, let's do yellow. Oh, I mean not yellow, white, my bad. White and a little hint of blue, and don't dilute this. And you kind of want to lay the shadow. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more blue. I'm going to lay the shadow on the ground. And this tree should also have shadow. This tree should also have a shadow. And it's just adding more shadows to our trees. There we go. And yeah. You can feel free to be more creative where you're painting. You can kind of like add like some lavender, like in front. Oh yeah, and as you guys are wrapping up, feel free to, thank you for coming. And if you guys can take the survey before you leave to let us know like how you find the session so we can prepare better for our next painting sessions. That's gonna be on week 6 and week 8, which is 2 weeks from now. It should be at the same time. On our next class, we are going to paint, let's see what we're painting next class. Oh, we're gonna be painting a sunset, a beach sunset. So it can remind you guys of San Diego. Actually, it's gonna be a tropical sunset, so yeah, and so if you guys want to tune in next time, feel free to. It's also going to be led by one of our zone interns. And I'm just going to wrap up by drawing some stems for my lavender. And then I'm just gonna draw some white lines on top of the mountains to kind of like signify like the rocks and like the edges. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I can still work a little bit more on our painting, but feel free to take a photo of it and tag us on Instagram, UCSD Zone. We really want to feature you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming. Oh, and I also taped up the side, so I'm just gonna unpeel my tape so you can see the finished product. It's super satisfying. Yeah. And it's also like a tip when you're painting watercolor, is just tape up the corners so it just looks super clean after you peel it off. Yeah. Thank you, HGH, for collaborating with us on this event. Make sure to check out their events as well. And here's the finished product. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and please give me feedback on our survey that we posted. Of course, I hope you guys come out to our next tea and paint night. And yeah, see you guys next time. I'm gonna be ending the meeting right now. So if you guys want to show off your artwork, make sure to tag us on Instagram. Oh yeah,